Yo, it's your boy E here from the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I just got one question for y'all. One question. Are you ready? I said, are you ready? Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. I hope nobody was offended for that from that DX impersonation. Although I think I think I got it down. But no, I'm just kidding. Uh, Brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. Today's segment one, we're going to talk about our AEW Dynamite review. We also have our Thursday Night Wrestling preview, which includes Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling. And then we're going to jump into AEW Dynasty, what to expect on Sunday when they're going to St. Louis. And to kind of cap it all off, I have a segment where I kind of look at these WWE superstars or professional wrestling superstars, and I'm like, you know what? Which one of these superstars that I would like? You know what? That seemed like they would have, be cool to have like a drink with, like a beer, maybe like a Cosmo, maybe like a mixed drink, or just, all the above. So, yeah, we have a pretty good show for you today, so don't go anywhere. Remember to use the tips and donations link. We get a number of questions from the viewers like you that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask you to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net with your questions. Just put your questions up on top so I can see it. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, tell me what you want to further elaborate on. Just be part of this podcast, guys. A part of this podcast is me, coming up with content and stuff like that. But it means nothing without the people. Power of the people. Power of the people. So just tell me how you feel. Tell me your opinions and what you want to talk about. This is your podcast just as much as it is mine. So you got to remember, it really, really helps the show, guys. Leave a positive feedback. Peace, love, and positivity at the GSMC podcast.net. And again, the link is the GSMC podcast.net. So, yeah, let's go ahead and jump right on into it. We have a little bit of an AEW review. Obviously, this was the last AEW Dynamite before the pay-per-view going on Sunday in St. Louis for AEW Dynasty. Let's get to it. So Dynamite kicked off with John Moxley coming out, and he came out just basically telling all the fans about his hard work, his next title aspirations, also about kind of like rubbing it in all the professional wrestling kind of standards face, being like, only in AEW can you establish something like that, where you can establish like you can win the AEW World Championship, you can win the Ring of Honor World Championship, and you can also win the IWPG championship as well, which he won, which is pretty awesome because that was one of the titles that eluded John Moxley from his illustrious career. So I don't know, it was pretty cool to see him come out and do that. And he seemed pretty proud. A lot of the crowd was behind him. Obviously, a lot of people support John Moxley. He's like obviously he's Dean Ambrose. Like I love his theme song comes out with "Wow Thing." Bam, 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 you make my heart sing. It's like one of those things where you hear it and you're like you can't really stop. You can't really help but to sing along. So I think that's super cool. Next, you have Adam Copeland and Willow of Nightingale against the House of Black. So this match started off pretty wonky, kind of what you can expect from a match. 3 days away from the main card. You had Willow attacked in the backstage. She looked really, really unable to compete. She looked pretty beat up, torn up, and ultimately it was Brody dominating Adam Copeland the whole way throughout the match. Absolutely crazy. It looked like Copeland didn't really have a chance there. And then one moment, you had Willow come out. She comes out through, like, oh, don't stop me. I might not be medically cleared, and I know that I have a TBS championship match at freaking Dynasty, but I'm gonna help my boy Adam Copeland here. So she was able to come out and kind of help Adam kind of do his thing. And after that, they totally kicked ass. You saw a spear by Copeland, and then all of a sudden you saw from out of nowhere the RKO. No, I'm just kidding. No, you saw Julia Hart out of nowhere, grabbed the chain, totally hit Willow of Nightingale, and totally knocked her out. Absolutely knocked her out. And it wasn't really fair. it wasn't really fair, but you can expect like House of Black to kind of play by those rules. Obviously, you have Copeland, Kingston, and Briscoe heading toward a match against the House of Black at Dynasty, and then you have Julia Hart fighting Willow of Nightingale for the TBS Championship. And I don't know, it was like bam, like it hit you like head on. And I felt bad for Willow, and obviously so did Mercedes Monet. She came out and she ultimately wanted to protect Willow of Nightingale, noticing that she's not the one who attacked her in the dark. She really, really wasn't the one. It's kind of like in you know an kind of like what the House of Black does is they turn out the lights and then bam, they attack. Bam, you don't expect it. Bam, this is what they do to gain an advantage over the opponent. And guess what? I'm with it. I think that's pretty cool. So, obviously, I think Julia Hart was the one who orchestrated the attack against Mercedes Monet last week on Dynamite. So, I know it's going to be pretty intense to see. So, all right. Next, we're going to talk about Samoa Joe's promo to Swerve Strickland. So Samoa Joe is basically like, look, I admire a man who gets knocked down, gets back up, gets wrestled down, gets back up, gets tapped out, gets back up. But he ultimately compared Swerve Strickland to like a punching bag, meaning like, he's nothing more, than just a punching bag. He's nothing less than, you know, someone who's going to make it into this industry of AEW. So a lot of strong words like thrown in by Samoa Joe, but I don't know. So you have he also did say that he admired his resilience, which honestly a lot of us as wrestling fans do when it comes to Swerve Strickland. And you had Samoa Joe kind of like, you know what, I respect this guy. Obviously you do. Like you see this guy come in and out. He didn't really necessarily lose to Samoa Joe, but ultimately it was because of Hangman Adam Page that Samoa Joe was able to retain the AEW Championship match. But it's going to be pretty interesting to see. So next we had the EVP. The EVP was against Daniel Garcia, which would consist of and Pac the Bastard and his main man. And you ultimately you saw kind of like a goofy match. And to be honest, I kind of really wish that the EVPs would have kind of took their first loss, kind of like having like that foreshadowing that anything can happen at AEW Dynasty coming toward Sunday. But ultimately you saw the Young Bucks and Okada pick up the win. And I don't know. For me, I was like, you know what? If you want to have more creative writing, if you want to kind of have more like people on the edge of your seats, you probably could have had Pac and his team kind of win the match there. Like to be honest, I thought that would have been absolutely perfect because you have the EVPs and Kajusa Okada just basically kicking ass, taking names over at the AEW organization. So for just to kind of add a little bit of unpredictability there for Dynasty. I would have had them lose this match, but hey, that's just me. So moving on, we also have Chris Jericho and Hook, the FTW champion. So this little promo that Taz wanted to create was I don't know, didn't really pan out the way he wanted it to. I think Taz ultimately wanted to pair up Chris Jericho based on Chris Jericho's abilities and based on his experience as a WWE slash WCW slash ECW slash AEW slash Ring of Honor slash I'm just kidding. No, just like Chris Jericho has been everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. And honestly, Taz wanted his son Hook to kind of, have a chance to kind of learn under his wing. But a lot of us know how Chris Jericho is. He knows they know how backstabby he could be. They know how savvy he can be. They know how manipulative he can be. And I think Hook ultimately saw that and he was like, nah. Nah, bro. Nah, I don't want any of that. So obviously, the good-looking Hook, he saw Chris Jericho push over his dad, the ECW the legend Taz, and it was like all hell broke loose. And he was like, that's kind of how Chris Jericho was able to get this match for the FTW Championship. Can we expect maybe some interference for Chris Jericho? Maybe. But ultimately, I think, I don't know, Hook is pretty pissed off right now. Once when you hurt a person's dad, it's all, all hands down. Guess what? I'm not going for the win. I'm not going for the championship. I'm not going for the glory. I'm going for some hardcore blood, which I think Hook is going to, go toward AEW Dynasty, going towards St. Louis on Sunday. So I think that should be cool. Next, you had Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa attacked Timeless Tony Storm. This rivalry has been kind of going back and forth for a pretty long time. You ultimately saw Thunder Rosa kind of, attack. You saw her attack Tony Storm, and then Tony Storm attacked Thunder Rosa at their champagne toast where Mariah May came out, and she was like ultimately like her bestie, and I think she also gave her like a little kiss, which was like crazy. But I don't know. I don't know. Thunder Rosa so far, I don't know. She had to relinquish the championship in 2022. Ultimately, she did not lose the AEW Women's Championship. So this is gonna be pretty cool. A lot of animosity, a lot of vengeance. I feel like Thunder Rosa is very much has a chip on her shoulder. So but she's gonna do anything in her power and in her will to pick up this victory at AEW Dynasty in St. Louis on Sunday. So, it's not going to surprise me there. Thunder Rosa is an amazing, amazing women's wrestler. So, hey, should be pretty awesome to see. All right. Well, don't go anywhere. Next, we have our Thursday night wrestling preview. We're going to talk about Ring of Honor, also our Thursday night Impact, and any implications toward New Japan Wrestling. And yeah, so don't go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Hello. It's me here, your boy E here at the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Our segment one, we talked about AEW Dynamite preview. This next segment, we're going to talk about Thursday night preview. No, I think it was I think I might have misspoke. I think it's the AEW Dynamite review, not the preview. But hey, all is good. So remember, before you move on to this next amazing subject matter, that we have our tips and donations link. We love to hear. We love to hear from our fans. We get a number of questions from the viewers to the show that come in. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net with your questions. Just put your questions up on top so I can see it, so we can have a nice little conversation. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Also, tell me what you want to talk about. I know very much this podcast is, the Wrestling Laureate Podcast, but also we love our fans interacting. So, us wrestling fans, we're one. We are a family and we are one. So, hey, don't forget, don't be afraid to leave a comment. Mostly preferred kind of like a positive comment. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we love peace, love, and positivity all the way. So remember, it really helps the show. And again, the link is at gsmcpodcast.net. So absolutely dope. Absolutely awesome, the GSMC Sports Network. So kind of moving on, we have our Thursday night preview. Wow, why do I keep messing that up? That's crazy. Absolutely. So anyway, so we have our Thursday night wrestling preview. We have Impact Wrestling. We have our last stop before we hit a Rebellion, which is going to be live on Saturday, April 20th at the Palms Casino Resort in Las Vegas. To be honest, it's been a while since I hit Las Vegas. And yeah, honestly, if I had the time to go, I would be there. That'd be freaking dope. That'd be pretty awesome. You got to think about it's the TNA World Tag Team Title match tonight with the Motor City Machine Guns. They challenge Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards for their championship. Obviously, the winner is going to fight, Speedball Mountain over at Rebellion. So this match has a kind of has a lot behind it, and also has kind of like a put up or shut up for a lot of these tag team division wrestlers. Obviously, you kind of saw the Motor City Machine Guns or MCMG kind of like. I don't know. I feel like I would want to see them fight Speedball Mountain more than Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people are like, hey, like, what are you talking about? These guys are like totally legit. But I don't know. I love Chris Sabin. I loved seeing Chris Sabin going out there doing his thing. And I don't know. He's been kind of like a staple in TNA for a pretty long time. So I don't know. I would love to see those guys kind of go at it. Next, we will hear from the Wanted Man, Nick Nemeth, and about his match against, well, in approximately like 48 hours, 32 hours, against Moose, the number one. It's going to be the main event for the TNA Impact World Heavyweight Championship. So this match is going to be absolutely insane. Obviously, Nick Nemeth is kind of like he's kind of like the underdog. It's crazy to see that Nick Nemeth has, kind of assumed that underdog role, although he's been like definitely one of the most impressive athletically. But Moose is a powerhouse that you can't really ignore. Absolutely. Like Moose, it's going to be hard to take the shop off him. And this Saturday at the Palms Casino Resort in Las Vegas, definitely Nick Nemeth is going to do his best to try to establish his legacy outside of WWE, which I think would be absolutely awesome. I came to play. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, next you have Hammerstone preparing for Alexander at Rebellion in a last man standing match. He takes on pro wrestling vet Guido, of course, of the FBI. So this match is going to be, not your average ordinary match. So the reason I don't know why Hammerstone took this match against FBI, but some people believe that that rest first rust kind of thing, where if you rest too much before your next match, it's going to be a little rusty the next time you come into the squared circle, ultimately causing you to lose the championship. But other people have like, you know what? We're just going to build this up. We're just going to build this up, keep that momentum going, keep that wave, kind of like a wave. When you see the ocean going over, you have inertia, you have gravity, and then you have momentum coming through like the orbital of the Earth's atmosphere, and then the wave just crashes down and it just destroys everything in its path. Kind of like a tsunami. I'm not glorifying tsunamis in any way or shape, possibly, because tsunamis are natural disasters. They deserve to be, acknowledged. And I feel so sorry for anyone who has been a victim of tsunamis. So keeping it real over at the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. But moving on. Before they clash out of Rebellion for the Knockouts World Tag Team Championships, you had, you have just an amazing group of girls, an amazing group in the women's division, totally ready to kick ass. You have the Demon Assassin representing Decay, will square off against Judy Threat representing the defending champion Spitfire. Ultimately, so who wins? Who wins? Whoever wins will A, build momentum, B, create the mind games. When somebody beats you, or just think about this. If you're not into wrestling, let's just think about if you're at like some average office job, pencil pushing kind of thing like that, where you pray to God that during your coffee break, something will happen in a parking lot so you get to go home. No, I'm just kidding. No. But just imagine, like, you just need to build momentum. And then, like, if something happens, it's one of those things where you push it around like, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. And then is it all downhill from here? Or does that downhill just like keep going up toward, more hills? Which is, a more and more or less kind of absolutely screwed up, effed up, whatever you want to talk about. So obviously this women's tag team not champion, this tag team match going toward the women's tag team championship in Impact, it means a lot. It definitely means a lot, so I don't know. It's gonna be pretty, it's gonna be under the low key, pretty good one. So, yeah. Next we have Ring of Honor. We're gonna talk about Ring of Honor for a second. We have a Ring of Honor World Champion Mark Briscoe addresses the world for the first time as champion. To be honest, guys, I really, really, really like Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe, he has what it takes. He could be like, he's the man. He's definitely like, I don't want to say the next Cody Rhodes kind of thing, but Mark Briscoe, after what happened with him and his family, with Jay Briscoe passing away ultimately, and him kind of assuming that like father role toward like his nieces and nephews and stuff like that, um, he's busted his ass 1,010%. This is a guy that deserves it. This is a guy that's been an amazing human being, inside and out. He's put his life on the line for Ring of Honor. He put his life on the line for you. He put his life on the line for professional wrestling. And that's something that, I see that. Wrestling fans see that in Mark Briscoe, and that ultimately gets us behind this guy. And honestly, if this guy holds the title for 3,031 23 days, I wouldn't mind it. I would absolutely like it. I would absolutely admire it. So, us as wrestling fans, we see that. Definitely we see the real grind. We see what happens in real life. We, obviously we're smart enough to kind of cut through the bullshit. And us wrestling fans, we're living breed. We're loyal. Absolutely loyal. And guess what? If you're gonna do what's good by us, despite what happens at home, despite what happens on the road, which, remind you guys, these guys are on the road constantly, 365 days a week. If you think your job, if it, no, sorry, 365 days a year. If you think your job is hard, and, by all means, I'm not trying to throw any fire here, if you think your job is hard, at least you get to come home every day. Does that make any sense? Does that throw any fire? Am I throwing a pipe bomb here by CM Punk? I'm just kidding, no. But anyways, like, I'm just saying, these wrestlers absolutely go through heaven and high hell just to kind of entertain the fans and to make a living. So, obviously Mark Briscoe is that kind of like that 9 to 5, kind of guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to, for an example, I know growing up, and I'm not trying to, this is by all means not like a politics kind of, podcast. But Mark Briscoe is kind of like that average man, that everyday man, go to work, kind of like a Dusty Rhodes. He's a man. He's an average man. Like where he would go out, go grocery shopping, pay the absurd amount of bills that you have paying for milk, bread, eggs, whatever. Like during the presidential election, back in, I think, when it was George Bush against JFK, where everybody was like, "Oh, I love Bush, I love Bush." And the moment that George Bush went to like pay for a gallon of milk, and everyone was like, "Hey, what's the price of a gallon of milk, President? Like, what's the price?" And no, I think it was Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton, sorry. And he was like, "You know what? I don't know." Like he didn't really know. He didn't really know, meaning that he cannot relate to the average man. Meaning that guess what? The average man, it's not going to get behind you. Not going to get behind you. And that's something that I feel like Mark Briscoe is like, I know I'm comparing apples to oranges here. Totally obscure, totally crazy. And a lot of you probably turn off the podcast and it's like, what the heck is this guy talking about? I just want to compare to the representative, which is usually the world champion in terms of impact. You have Moose. You have a WWE, you had Roman Reigns, now you have Cody Rhodes. Every single fan is behind him solely because they can relate to him. And that's a lot what your business can do, even if it's not wrestling. Like, let's just say you're trying to build a brand. You're not going to sell crap. You're not going to sell shiz to anybody who doesn't give a damn because you have to relate to the audience. I'm sorry. So honestly, Mark Briscoe should deserve to wear this Ring of Honor championship for as long as he possibly can because he relates to basically every wrestling fan. So if you all stayed with me there throughout this whole rant, I love you. If you didn't, guess what? I still love you. I still love you. You know, we love you. You know, wrestling fans got to stay together. But get out. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, so we have the infantry looks to put their names back into the tag team title division picture with the match against the Iron Savages. Next, we're gonna have a proving ground match against Mark Briscoe against Griff Garrison, which is kind of crazy because the last time Garrison fought against Mark Briscoe was in 2019 in a Ring of Honor World Tag Team match against Jay and Mark Briscoe, where they got the victory, but Griff ultimately came up short. So this is his second chance fighting Mark Briscoe, but also this is his first chance, kind of like anything he's ever like dreamed of. Also coming more toward like the closest he's probably ever been toward a Ring of Honor World Championship. So, and also just a couple of matches to kind of fire him off. I know we're running out of time here. For segment 2, we have the Bounty Hunter Brian Keith against Aaron Solo. We have Diamante, Layla Gray, and Taya Valkyrie against Kyrie Hogan, Layla Hirsch, and Trish Adora. We also have Lady Frost against Maddie Bell, and Beast Amortos against Nick Camaroto, and Abaddon against Island K. So we have a lot of definitely a lot of action going on in Ring of Honor tonight, Supercard. So give it a shot, give it a look up highlights on YouTube. That's kind of how like I'm getting this because I don't love the streaming services. Would I love it? Yeah, but I don't have it right now. So go in and go on into it. Watch Ring of Honor, watch TNA Impact, and you're going to be introduced to something pretty special. Something just because it's not broadcasted live on cable television or broadcast television doesn't necessarily mean that it's anything short of spectacular. So bam. Next, moving forward, we have our AEW Dynasty preview. I'm going to talk about the matches and predictions for AEW Dynasty heading towards St. Louis on Sunday. And, just to kind of kick it off right off the bat, I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. AEW Dynasty needs to be stellar. AEW Dynasty needs to be perfect in order for Tony Khan to kind of move forward with his promotion. So, hey, don't go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Hello. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just to kind of reflect on what we talked about. We talked about our, AEW Dynamite review, and we also talked about our Thursday Night Wrestling preview, Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling. So to kind of move forward with this, and like I said before, honestly, if things don't go swell, this could very much be the end of Tony Khan's promotions of AEW or Turner Television. So, honestly, I'm praying. I am praying that this, this pay-per-view goes really, really good because when it comes, competition, comes somebody trying to prove that they're better than you are. Like, you know what I mean? Kind of like LeBron. Over and over again, he came up short against the Golden State Warriors. over and over again. But then he come back and he ruled ass, dude. He came back. No, I'm just kidding. No, you can't really, but NBA reference. Obviously, but this is not an NBA podcast. Although I love the NBA, but let's move forward with this. So let's get ready to rumble. Oh, hopefully. So we have AEW Dynasty is projected to have tens and thousands of fans. Tens and thousands of fans. Is that enough? Is that enough, guys? To be honest, maybe. Seeing what has happened on Saturday Night Collision, Friday Night Rampage, AEW Dynamite Wednesdays, to have anything short of tens and thousands would absolutely be astronomically terrible. They need for this to be perfect. Kind of like Vince McMahon introducing kind of like the feeling of WrestleMania. This needs to be stellar. This is an inaugural event. So this is like a once thing. Honestly, I think this is kind of like their WrestleMania. And kind of like TNA had like Bound for Glory was their WrestleMania. But this needs to be good. This needs to be stellar. This needs to have people like Lil Wayne come out and singing their theme songs or something like that. Lil Wayne, heck no, bring back Bob Marley. Bob Marley, find a way to bring back Bob Marley from the dead so he can sing some, rest in peace, Bob Marley. But just like find a way to kind of have him like draw attention to this AEW product, because if this doesn't go good, you can kiss AEW goodbye. Goodbye. And I'm not happy about it. I'm not. I recently really got into AEW and I don't really want it to go. I do not. So let's get on into it. So you're gonna see big stars like Daniel Bryan, Kazuchika Okada, Samoa Joe, William Ospreay, and then you're gonna have 8 championship bouts, which is pretty cool. So far, so good. It's gonna be streaming live 8 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday on Bleacher Report and Thriller TV. And it's going to kick off with the AEW Trios Championship and the Ring of Honor 6-Man Championship. You're going to see the Acclaimed with Anthony Bowens and Max Caster and Billy Gunn, or Daddy Ass, against the Bullet Club Gold, which is Jay White, Austin Gunn, and Carter Gunn. And this is a winner take all. This is a winner take all match. The winner takes on, they take home the gold, which is, kind of cool. You kind of see that going on there, which makes me think that maybe they're kind of trying to like, not merger. It's, thanks because AEW is not afraid to kind of go through that forbidden door. It's not really like kind of like a merger. It's kind of like one of those things where you see AEW superstars who are allowed to go to New Japan Wrestling, like Jon Moxley, who are allowed to come from Ring of Honor to the main stage, kind of like Matt Cardona, who are allowed to come from New Japan Wrestling to AEW, kind of like what Okada did and defeated Eddie Kingston for the Continental Championship on AEW like a month ago. So these are like forbidden doors that are open, and honestly, that's kind of something that AEW will always have over the WWE. I think that's pretty dope. Next, we kind of have Adam Copeland against Eddie Kingston and Mark Briscoe against House of Black. House of Black consists of Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews. This match is going to be absolutely stellar. This is going to be a great match. You're going to see basically one of the most hard-nosed wrestlers on AEW, Ring of Honor, and New Japan. And they're going to go at it. They're going to go at the House of Black, who has been over and over again just absolutely reaving heck on top of the promotions. And, Adam Copeland's, he's a dog. And he's not willing to give his body up. Obviously, what you saw in the WWE, he's not willing to, just kind of lay down. And you have Eddie Kingston. Can Eddie Kingston afford to lose another match? You saw him lose the Continental Championship against Okada. You saw him lose the Ring of Honor World Championship against his teammate, coincidentally enough, Mark Briscoe. Can he afford to lose another match? I don't think so. Eddie Kingston, right now, he's got to be fighting for, something more. And then, of course, you have Mark Briscoe, who's absolutely on fire. I don't think anybody can beat this guy right now. This guy could probably challenge Roman Reigns and probably win. based on his wrestling abilities, his name, image, likeness with the fans, whatever he like to say in terms of college football. But I don't know, like this guy's on fire, and I hope these three superstars prevail because honestly, and I'm not trying to seem, like a jerk, but I hate House of Black. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, that was too much. That was too much, Eric. That was too much. Go back. I'm just kidding. Next, we have the FTW Championship. We have Hook against Chris Jericho. FTW rules. This past AEW Dynamite Wednesday, you kind of saw Taz being pushed down by Chris Jericho, which I kind of thought was not funny because you never want to see anybody fall down, and it'd be funny. But I'm just kidding. No, but ultimately, you kind of saw Taz, the ultimate submissions machine, the total badass of ECW. Just get Chris Jericho's really like he was like, nah. And all of a sudden he was like, ah! Like it was like, and then his son Hook was like, Dad! Like it was like I don't know. It seemed like it was like two staged. I guess I was like, you know what? I'm not like totally into it, but this is funny as hell. This is good. No, but like I don't know. You're gonna see Chris Jericho, and like I said in the prior podcast, there's gonna be a way that they're gonna find a way to put Chris Jericho against Hook. Hook has been on a total crazy reign for the FTW Championship, so it wouldn't surprise me if Chris Jericho picks up the win here. Honestly, I would kind of prefer for him to win this championship solely because one, Hook seems like he's been the FTW championship. He's kind of faced everyone inside and out of the AEW, and he just seems like when he fights his matches, you as a viewer, you're like, man, I'm bored. I've seen this shiz before. Like, what the hell? And then second, his contract is up. His contract is up. There's a lot of speculation saying that he might go to WWE. Will he go to WWE? I don't think he would. It's kind of like Bronny James coming out from the draft and not signing with any other team besides someone his dad is on. But honestly, I would like to see Chris Jericho pick up the victory here. So, next we have the AEW International Championship, Roderick Strong versus Kyle O'Reilly. One of the things that I kind of thought about, and I'm kind of heartbroken about, because I was a huge Undisputed Era guy when they were in the NXT with Bobby Fish, Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly. Obviously, good things have to come to an end. And Roderick Strong attacked Kyle O'Reilly, and it's personal now. It's personal now. Any hope you had that Kyle O'Reilly would join the Undisputed Kingdom is now dead. It's gone. Absolutely gone. It's bupkis. You're not going to see that happen. Guess what? No, no, no. What did I tell you what would happen? Exactly what would happen. I'm just kidding. But anyways, I don't think Roderick Strong is in any way, shape, or form ready to kind of lose his belt. He's obviously kind of like one of the steeples so far that the international champion has. He's represented the championship very, very well. And to be honest, Kyle O'Reilly, although he's been very, very impressive, isn't ready yet to kind of hold down such a burden as the AEW International Champion. So, rooting for Kyle O'Reilly, but wouldn't be surprised if he lost. Next, we have the TBS Championship. We have Julia Hart against Willow of Nightingale in a House Rules match. A House Rules match. I was like, man, what the heck is a House Rules match? Like, obviously, you have the Dark, House of Black, Julia Hart against Willow of Nightingale, kind of like that light, kind of like that powerhouse underdog, kind of like an Edge versus Batista, like what we talked about in the steel cage match last podcast. But I don't know, the House Rules match, you have a 20-second count out, and then you also have DQs are enforced, with no rope breaks, so whoever has the urge when it comes to submission, Julia Hart. And then you have dealer's choice. The challenger gets to set one stipulation. What will Willow of Nightingale choose for her stipulation? I don't know. Maybe a no submission match. I'm just kidding. No, imagine that. That would be pretty cool. Honestly, no submissions. Well, last woman standing match. Nothing goes. No, nothing. Submission goes. Submission obviously goes. Submission goes. But you don't need to have a kick-ass submission like Julia Hart does to kind of proceed with your, endeavors in terms of the AEW Women's Championship. So it wouldn't surprise me if Willow Nightingale kind of throws, kind of like a curveball here. Like, you know what I mean? Let's see Phil Cole at the mound throw something more at Julia Hart that she's not expecting. Who knows? Who knows? So next, you have the AEW Continental Championship match between Kazuchika Okada versus the Bastard Pack Continental Rules match. Obviously, Okada is the 5-time IWPG Heavyweight Champion. His longest run was 722 days. Obviously, very, very, very impressive. And of course, now with the Continental Rules match, meaning that any outside interference is going to be severely punished. What does that mean? I have no idea. I have no idea. Like severely punished. What does that mean? Is he gonna tie one hand behind his back? Maybe. Is he like I have to perform a podcast without like my mouth? I'm just kidding. I don't know what it means when it comes to like being severely punished for outside interference, but anyways, it should be interesting. All right, next we're gonna have the AEW Tag Team Championships. Obviously, Darby Allin and Sting, the icon Sting at Revolution, won these AEW World Tag Team titles, but because Sting retired and Darby Allin went out with an injury, he was forced to kind of relinquish the tag team titles. Obviously, you can't fight this match on your own, so he relinquished it, which was the right decision. But now you kind of have you have the EVPs, the Young Bucks, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson fighting the FTR, Cash Wheeler and Dax Hardwood in a ladder match. So don't be surprised if this is one of those matches that kind of, takes over here. That kind of takes over, kind of the attention of the crowd because especially what happened with showing the CM Punk footage of Jack Perry and all that kind of stuff, and which sources say that the Young Bucks weren't really in favor of doing that. It was more like a Tony Khan kind of thing. But to be honest, this could be good. This is going to be a really good match. Can I see the EVPs coming out victorious? To be honest, I don't want them to, just for better story plot, but I think they will. I think right now you kind of have the Rainmaker, the Elite, you have EVP, but you also got to remember Kenny Omega's coming back. Kenny Omega will come back. Obviously, he's had, his rivalry between Okada and him has been absolutely astronomically awesome in terms of the professional wrestling world. So it wouldn't surprise me if he comes back with Hangman Adam Page and maybe a couple other guys to kind of, take over that AEW World Championship and also the Continental Championship. So wouldn't surprise me if that happened. Next, we kind of have we have our AEW World's Women's Championship match between the timeless Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa. This match is honestly, I think it's kind of up in the air. I love Toni Storm. I love Thunder Rosa more. Both of these superstars 2 weeks ago during the Champagne Toast, you saw Thunder Rosa kind of getting her ass kicked. And then a week ago, well, no, not a week ago. Last Wednesday, you kind of saw Thunder Rosa, come up and put her in that camel clutch and kind of insert herself as the next woman to hold the AEW championship since she relinquished it in 2022. But I don't know. It's like one of those things where if Toni Storm lost it, you kind of look at how long she's held the belt. You kind of like, you know what? She's good. Like she kind of did her shit. Did her stuff. She was able to, kind of prove the naysayers wrong. She was able to prove the fact that she can hold this company on her back. And Thunder Rosa comes back. Like she had the company on her back, had to relinquish the title due to injury and come back waiting, ready, absolutely determined to fight timeless Toni Storm for this AEW World Women's Championship. This girl is as determined as ever. Absolutely. You can't stop this girl. You can't stop this girl. And that's the reason why I think Thunder Rosa is going to pick up the victory. But both girls, very, 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 very impressive. So honestly, this is one of those sleeper matches. It's gonna be one of those sleeper matches. It's gonna end out really, really good. Wouldn't surprise me if this is the best match during AEW Dynasty. Next, you have Will Ospreay versus Daniel Bryan. Both of them are fighting to be the best technical wrestler in the world. Really? I'm just kidding. No, like that's cool, dude. Like I love that. I think that's awesome. Bryan Danielson. I think, did I say that right? Oh my God. He's a jolly good fellow. Oh, he's a jolly good fellow. For he's a jolly good fellow. I finally said that stuff right. But no, honestly, this is going to be a great match. It's going to be a good match. You see the two of the dudes that have absolutely been killing it in the wrestling world. This is honestly one of the best matches in not just AEW Dynasty, but the world of professional wrestling. Because just think about it. These guys have been through the sector all over the world. All over the world. New Japan Wrestling, Ring of Honor, Impact, AEW, Independent Circus. Like these guys have been absolutely all over the world. If anything spells out world champion without the title, this is going to be it. This is like the best world wrestler. It doesn't have the world's wrestling championship title. It doesn't have that championship kind of endeavor, but this is the best world wrestler. And that's kind of what Will Ospreay is trying to prove, so against Bryan Danielson. So I'm for it. It's going to be a great match. All right, and to kind of end this off here, I know this has kind of been longer than we expected. We're going to have an AEW World Championship match between Samoa Joe and Swerve Strickland. And this match is going to be hard to kind of predict because you have Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is kind of like that sure thing. He's kind of like that Patrick Mahomes, kind of Las Vegas kind of feel like if you had to pick Samoa Joe against anybody in the AEW roster to win a match, you're going to pick Samoa Joe. And Swerve Strickland has been very bloodthirsty. He's been very vengeful. And he's kind of like that Philadelphia Eagles where he was like, one play. I was one play away from dethroning you. And, and that's just something that I think that Samoa Joe can't get out of his mind. Honestly, I love Samoa Joe. He's been absolutely on a tear. He's the Samoan, submission machine. I don't think anybody's going to come close to even his success when it comes to AEW world title runs. But, dude, Swerve Strickland, man, he's bloodthirsty. He's brutal. He's tapped into kind of like that untamed source. And, honestly, if Samoa Joe kind of has a chance here, he's going to have to kind of tap into it and kind of be like a technical match. Kind of have like a fundamental match. He can't let Swerve Strickland kind of dictate the match on his own. You can't really kind of let this match kind of get into like a grappling, kind of striking, kind of like a brawl match because Swerve Strickland is pissed off enough to the point where he can win. He can win, and that's something that WWE, AEW, whatever wrestling promotion kind of has in common, that the wrestler that's willing to throw down the biggest hands usually picks up the victory. Nevertheless, momentum on your side, you're able to do fantastic things. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see my boy Strickland pick up the victory at AEW Dynasty this Sunday at St. Louis. So, excited to see it. All right, next, we're going to cap this off. Bottoms up, Thirsty Thursday presentation. So what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to bring up some wrestling superstars that I think would be good company in terms of like hanging out, kind of having a drink with. B, what I think their poison would be. And 3, one question that I would absolutely ask them. I know this is a little goofy, but hey, hope you enjoy it.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just to kind of reflect on what we talked about AEW Dynamite review. We talked about a Thursday Night Wrestling preview, and we also talked about AEW Dynasty preview, which is going to be live on Bleacher Report, Thriller TV, 5 p.m. Pacific time. So, yeah, don't be afraid to watch that. It's going to be pretty awesome. So, kind of like what I promised here, it's going to be a little hard because there's so many good people out there. So many great wrestlers that you look at and you're like, man, that'd be so cool to hang out with that guy. Kind of like one of those, like, oh, like if you had to, bring somebody back from the dead, who would you want to have dinner with? Talk about this and that and the other. So I'm very excited about this segment. Hope you guys like it. But before I start this segment, if anybody that's watching is under the age of 21, don't drink. Don't do it. No, I'm just kidding. No, obviously don't do it. But if you're over the age of 21, obviously drink responsibly. I feel like it's like one of those like PSA, like those PSA like TV moments where it's like, oh, side effects include diarrhea, confusion, this and that. I'm gonna talk about some WWE, AEW, the Ring of Honor superstars. I'm like, it'd be cool to hang out with that guy. It can be absolutely cool to hang out with that guy. So hey, let's see if this works out. And last time I did this segment, it was kind of like one of those things where it's like, oh my god, like what's going on? What's going on next? Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, here we go. Awesome. We have Sami Zayn starting off this bottoms up Thirsty Thursday presentation. Sami Zayn, I think, would be pretty awesome to sit down and have a drink with. Obviously, it's my man. And, I think it'd be great. Next, we have Gunther. Gunther, I heard rules of drinking kind of over the seas are a little bit different when it comes to drinking in the United States. I heard you gotta Gunther looks like that guy that could take down a barrel of beer and be like, hey, bro, you want to go jogging tomorrow morning? And you're like, ah. I mean, I guess you don't want to let him down because he's so big. So honestly, I can see Gunther as kind of like kind of like that beer drinking guy. Mercedes Moné seems like that, that kind of girl to kind of hang out with, go out to dinner with, kind of like drink, a couple of casual, mixed drinks, hang out at like a TGI Fridays or Buffalo Wild Wings. And guys, honestly, this segment's pretty crazy. Randomly kind of popped up, and I was like, this seems like a good idea. But now, kind of doing it, I'm like, you know what? I probably should have came up with something else. But I think it would be pretty cool, definitely, to kind of have a drink. Next, we have Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns. It would be totally awesome to kind of hang out with Roman Reigns. A question that I would ask him is that who out of the bloodline do you think is, if it wasn't for you, who do you think would be the tribal chief? And obviously, he would have a plethora of superstars to talk about. The Rock, Rikishi Fatu, kind of like all the bloodline in the past. Honestly, Roman kind of looks like that guy that can drink like maybe a couple of glasses of wine, but be like, look, guys, like all responsible. Look, we got to go to bed because we have stuff to do tomorrow. And you're like, yes, tribal chief. No. And next we have Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam, this is my man right here. I feel like Rob Van Dam could definitely be that guy that like you can kind of hang out with, kind of like, talk mess with, kind of have like, kind of share a 6-pack of beers with, and also, play some video games. It seems like that you play NBA Street, and like both of you guys would be like talking mess and like, I don't know, it seems like a good one. One question that I would ask for Rob Van Dam is that if, does he regret ever, coming to the WWE? That's me. Next, we have Bully Ray. Bully Ray looks like that baller, man. Looks like that guy that can drink you under the table. That looks like you get done with like drinking like, 6 or 7 beers, and he'd be like, dude, are you done? Are you seriously done right now? Like, what is wrong with you? No, and obviously for a poison, I think it'd be obviously I think a couple beers. One question I would ask him if he had to team up with anybody else besides Devon Dudley during the Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression era, who would he choose? Next, we have Vince McMahon. Vince, should I just let this one roll on? Nah, I'm just kidding. Definitely one question that I'll ask Vince McMahon is that, dude, like, would you ever, do your life differently? I'm just kidding. Vince McMahon is one of those guys where it's be like, dude, no, don't drink, don't do anything crazy, go home, sit your ass home. I'm just kidding. Next, you have Tony Khan. Tony Khan, the guy from AEW. He looks like a nice boy. He looks like one of those guys that'd be like, hey, after we have a couple of beers, you want to go to church tomorrow? No, just kidding. I'm not trying to dog on anybody that does that. No, just, but I'm just saying, like, he just seems like that good guy. Maybe like you kind of have to force him to drink, maybe slip a little bit of vodka in his drink, and he'd be like, I'm, whew, what is that? Why is your drink so good? And you're like, I don't know, dude. The bartender be like tripping over here. John Cena. John Cena. John Cena's the man. Obviously, the champ is here. John Cena looks like one of those guys that could definitely pound maybe like a 12 pack, maybe a couple of beers more than that, and wake up the next day, be absolutely fully functional and not, not kind of have like a hangover because he would, have that hangover, give him attitude adjustment out of here, and he would just absolutely be phenomenal like he is all the time. Next, you have Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes seems like that guy that you would ask to hang out, and he'd be like, "Yeah, sure." And you'd be like, "Yeah, dude, I'll take a beer." And then the bartender would be like, "Hey, sir, would you also like a beer?" And Cody Rhodes would be like, "You know what? I'll take a Cosmo." Just kidding. I want a martini. Like, he seems classy. Seems very, very classy. Like, I don't think this guy has ever heard of a Jaeger bomb in his whole entire life. No, I'm just kidding. No. But one of the questions that I would ask Cody Rhodes is that would he rather fight Roman Reigns in WrestleMania, or would you rather have a chance to kind of go against Dusty Rhodes, your father? Next, we have Mick Foley. Mick Foley seems like that guy that, like, maybe, like he kind of had like a rough, hardcore past and, doesn't really necessarily drink. You're like, hey, bro, you want to go out and have a couple of beers? And he's like, you know what, man? I'll take a cranberry juice. And like he's drinking cranberry juice, but still seems like he's having more fun than you are. And you're like, what? Like, what the hell's going on? Next, you're going to have Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, one of my favorite wrestlers. Starting off with the question. Honestly, I would ask him if he could do anything different in his career, what would he do? And, obviously, in emphasis of the Montreal Screwjob with him and Bret Hart. That would definitely be one of the questions that I would ask him. And also, he seems like Shawn Michaels is reformed Christian. I wouldn't want to mess with that, so I wouldn't tempt him with the drinking or what no, I'm just kidding. And next you have Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley looks like he could I don't know. He just looks like someone that would beat your ass like at a bar. I'm just kidding. No. He's like, hey man, you want to hang out with me? Go out and drinking, and you're like, you know what? I'm not sure, Bobby. I'm not sure. And he's like, well, guess what? Get your things. We're going anyways. And you're like, you know what? I don't know if I want to. And he's like, get up. And you're like, oh, okay, let's go. Let's go. Like, And then he would like be like, hey, let's run a mile the next day. Next you have Triple H. Next you have Triple H. Triple H is an absolute dynamite. I know, he's kind of had the history in the WWE as being one of the most functional employees. So, he one of those guys would be like, yeah, let's have one drink. And then usually when you go out with someone who's like, yeah, let's have one drink, it's not really one drink, but he really means it. He seriously means just one drink. And it's like, but and you're like, whoa, like, all right, like, don't kick my, don't kick my ass. Like, let's not let this happen. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin seems like that guy, obviously, and I'm not just depicting this because like he like has the and he's la and he was just totally like chug beers for days. But Stone Cold Steve Austin seems like that guy that can like, once when he get done drinking it. This is during his heyday. During his heyday. Like you drink a couple beers and you pass out, you wake up and he's like, you ready for round two? Are you, boy? Are you some like it's crazy. Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch seems like she is ready to be awesome. Like she seems like she can drink you under the table kind of girl. She seems like she can absolutely like kill it. she's like when she's when she's doing like when she's drinking, it's like it's more eloquent than you are, but like she just does it in style, and you're like trying to keep up with her, and you're like, oh man, I don't think I can. How are you doing this? And she's like, I'm the man, I'm the absolute man, and you're like, dude, like I'm not a man. I'm just kidding. I'm like, I can't handle this. What are you doing? But I'm just kidding. No, to be honest, it'd be pretty awesome to, experience hanging out with any of these individuals, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't. Definitely one of the questions that I would ask Becky Lynch is that after achieving everything that that WWE has to offer, what's next for Becky Lynch? What's next that you want to do? Is there any hobbies or any hidden accomplishments that you want to set for you yourself as a woman or even as a person? So yeah, definitely one of the craziest segments I've ever done. Hope you guys liked it. If not, leave it in the tips and the donations at the gsmcpodcast.net. Yeah. Uh, Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to hit a Superman punch that like and subscribe button and leave a positive review for the show. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we love peace, love, and positivity, baby. All the way. Yeah. So, don't be afraid to hit that like and subscribe button. We also invite you to follow us on TikTok, Facebook, Twitter/X, and Instagram for more content and updates. If I haven't made you a wrestling fan already, just remember we have other podcasts in terms of sports, in terms of everything at the GSMC Podcasting Network. We are a family. This is the new bloodline of podcasting. Check it out or regret ever being a part of this amazing movement of entertainment in terms of entertainment. So once again, thank you and have a phenomenal day.
Bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to